Greetings, welcome to Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today you're going to be watching an interview with a hard rock AOR band from Denmark called Skagarack. Now, Skagarack were formed in the early 80s and released some fantastic albums in the late 80s and early 90s. The band have just released a new album on Thunderstruck Records called Heart and Soul. This is more of a hard rock blues album, but it's a really good album. So if you like your hard rock and blues, please check this out. I'd like to thank Torben Schmidt, the vocalist, for doing this interview. So thanks for watching, Metalheads. Rockers, please like and share. Enjoy the interview and please leave some comments. Thanks for watching. Greetings, everybody. We're doing an interview with Torben from Skagarack. Torben, welcome to Friday the 13th. How are you today?
Fine, and thank you for having me.
Okay, you're welcome. So as this is the first interview with you, I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions first.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm going to ask you, what age did you learn to sing and did you play any other instruments? Also, was there anybody in your family playing instruments before yourself?
No, nobody in my family played any instruments. And we were six kids. I'm the youngest, and nobody of the other guys played any instruments. So it was quite surprising I started doing that, but I just really loved I began to listen to, rock music and Zeppelin and Richie Blackmore and Purple. And what was the first question? Was it if I started to sing or I started with the guitar, obviously, like most people do. I learned, I saw some chords in a book and I practiced a lot. And I didn't sing before, I think maybe a couple of years later when I joined my first band and nobody else wanted to sing. So I said, okay, I'll give it a try.
Yeah. Okay. So what was your first guitar? Can you remember the make? And do you still own this guitar?
No, sadly I don't. The very first I had was like one with the nylon strings, like a classical guitar. There's not much sound in one of those guitars, but still, I was pretty excited.
Okay, and so what sort of music did you grow up with living at home as a young child? What was your parents listening to?
Oh, they listened to whatever was on the radio, There was lots of popular pop music. And later I discovered, when I started listening to Beatles, and that I really liked. And from there on, it was, then there came the period with Sweet and Slade and T-Rex and all those, what's it called, the glam period?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I really I wanted to play myself.
Was there any Danish bands that inspired you?
Not really. No, there was a band called Gasoline, which were huge in Denmark. They sang in Danish, and they really sold a lot of records. And they tried to make an album in English. I think they moved to the States even, but nothing happened because they were too Danish, I think.
That's a shame. So, which guitarist inspired you? Before we talk about your vocal inspirations, who inspired you as a guitar player?
Oh, Richie Blackmore for sure. Him and obviously Page from Zeppelin. Those two guys, oof, killer.
Did you learn to play like "Smoke on the Water"? Was that one of your first songs that everybody learns as a guitar player?
Oh, of course. On one string.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about singers? Who's your influences as a vocalist? Who's inspired you?
I would say definitely Paul Rodgers. He's an all-time favorite, and I know I know he got it from somewhere also, from the old blues singers, but he really the icing on the cake, or what do you say?
Yeah.
You can definitely hear in many singers like Coverdale and they were truly inspired from Paul Rodgers, I'm sure.
Okay, then. So, what about other singers? Was anybody? I mean, what attracted you to Paul Rodgers in the first place? What was it? What was that made you think? Yeah, I want to song like this guy. I want to be a singer.
I mean, obviously, it was All Right Now that turned me on to the band, and then I really liked both Free and Bad Company because they were not the same, except his voice, of course, and yeah, then of course I also liked Plant from Zeppelin. He's a very different kind of voice than I have, for instance. I'm more towards Paul Rodgers.
Yeah, I noticed that in the new album, but we'll
Yeah,
talk about
yeah,
that
yeah.
later. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what about other singers? Like, obviously, you like the Deep Purples and you like the Freeze and that. Was you inspired by like Glenn Hughes or any of those other people like that in that era?
Glenn Hughes is also a very special voice. I mean, he's an amazing singer, but he sings in a way, I think, he sings rock with a kind of Stevie Wonder attitude, that high pitch. He has a very special tone in his vocal.
It's funny
And he
that you should
sing,
mention that because I was interviewing Glenn Hughes once and he mentioned that one of his best friends is Stevie Wonder.
yeah, I mean, it's so, and he sings with the same effortless. It's kind of a hybrid between. It's like it's much up here. It's like I won't say falsetto, but it's a falsetto with a lot of. He can add a lot of distortion when he needs it and wants it.
Okay.
And so it's if you look at a guy like David Coverdale when he sings, he's singing with his whole body, and it's very tough physical. Whereas Hughes, that's effortless. He can sing 2 days in a row.
Right then. So, what was your first band then, Torben, that you got into? What was the first band you actually played with? Did you record any demos, any albums before Skagarack?
No. I had one band just before Skagarack, but we come from a small town called Kolding, and it's like 50,000 people, and we lived here all our life. And everybody knew everybody who was. I think there were 4 or 5 bands maybe back at the time, and so we swapped between bands now and then. And I met Jan Peterson, the guitar player in Skagarack, and Alvin, the drummer in Skagarack. And from there on, it was like, so this is it. This was the cream of this city. Yeah.
Okay, and so the name Skagarack, what does it mean for people out there that don't know? Because I don't actually know what it means. What does it mean?
Well, it's the water north of Denmark, the water between Denmark and Norway. That's called Skagarack. And it was actually a friend we had in Germany from Bavaria who said to us, "You guys should call yourself Skagarack." We thought, wow, that's a cool name. So we took it.
Did you have any other names besides Skagarack?
Oh, yeah. I played in a band called Sally J after a Queen song. And I was also, for a period, in a band called Wheels Band. And just before, also Boulevard, I remember in the 70s, we had a band called Boulevard. And the band just before Skagarack was Pulse, Pulze.
Okay, so you didn't have any other names for the band Skagarack in general. That was just through a mutual friend of Jeremy said, call yourself Skagarack, and you just thought, yeah, that's the name.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first album, I mean, that came out in the early 80s, didn't it? The debut album, self-titled. What can you remember that album? How successful was it for you?
Oh, very successful. Actually, we came out of nowhere. Nobody knew us. And we had never played a gig before. And then when we're doing the first 3 songs in Copenhagen. That's the first time that we actually, recorded, seriously recorded, and tapes went out. That was back in the days when it was cassette tapes.
Yeah, I remember.
So we sent a cassette tape to Polydor in Polydor International. They were based in Hamburg back in those days, and later moved to London. So we sent to them and to, I think it was Polar, the ABBA record label.
Right, okay.
And they both were interested, which was quite amazing and unexpected in a way, because we were a brand new band,
Yeah, right. I actually remember listening to you guys, actually seeing you on MTV, I'm Alone, the single back in the day.
Yeah.
That was a really good song. It's like, wow, this is cool stuff. Good hard rock AOR from Scandinavia. But a lot of people thought you were from Sweden, because we all thought you were sounded like Europe a little bit. So we expected it to But then you came from Denmark. I mean, tell me a little bit about that video. I mean, I believe you did that in London. That was recorded in London for that
song. I think it's called Brixton Academy. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Still there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was very cold. So if you look at the video, you can see when I sing, there's a lot of smoke coming out, or what do you call it? Steam?
Yeah, your breath. Yeah, you can your breath.
Yeah, because it was so cold. And regarding Europe, I had never heard of Europe before. I sat in a studio in London, in a TV studio. I sat next to, I think it was the first time I met Phil Lynott. So I sat next to him. And then on the screen, in the monitor, they were playing the Euro. Who the fuck is this? Because it was kind of similar, same music we were playing. But, it was the time. I mean, it's influences from, I guess it's like a hybrid between UK and the States. This type of music we had in the 80s. Many bands were influenced by or got the inspiration from bands like Journey. A lot of keyboards and yeah.
I mean, you said the song "I'm Alone." Why didn't you just call the title "I'm So Cold"?
I should have. You should have written it, Jason. You could have helped me.
Just retitle it just for the video. I'm So Cold, said I'm Alone. So it was a very successful album for you. Would you expect it to be so successful? And what sort of touring did you do for that album?
We played Germany, all of Scandinavia. I think we went to Austria. I can't really remember if we were in Holland also, but we played a lot, and a lot in Denmark, of course, where we were like the new kid in town, and we sold many albums.
So who did you play with on the tour? Was you supporting somebody? Obviously, who was the support for?
The only band we supported Bon Jovi on one gig, and Purple also, Deep Purple.
Did you meet these guys? How did you?
Yeah. The guys in Purple I've met several times, because I played soccer, football, and I think they felt I was pretty good at it. So they called every time many times they were in Denmark. So then I knew the guy who was the promoter or setting up the whole European tour. It's called Eric Thompson, and he was quite famous actually because Deep Purple, especially Richie, always did pranks on him, serious pranks, and I won't tell anybody any of them here, but
okay. So yeah. I mean, the first album. Is there any particular songs that you liked from the debut album?
That I liked?
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to talk about your own music, but I liked Damn Woman, which was more heavy. And there's a song called Lies. But obviously I also like I'm Alone, because what it did for us, and it's a good song, I think.
Right, okay. And then you did the second album, Hunger for a Game, back in 1988. That
Yeah,
for me is my favorite album. Hence, I've got the backdrop because I think that was a really
yeah,
cool
yeah, yeah,
album.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so tell me a little bit about that. How much of a progression was it from the debut, and was it more successful?
I think it's a better album. It's a more consistent album, and it's an album we did really fast from start to end of mix. Within 2-3 months, it was done. Whereas the first album was, we worked on it more than a year in Denmark, because we were signed to like a production company, and we recorded 3 songs, and then 2 or 3 months went by, and then we did another 3, and so on, and then when we were signed by Polydor, they thought, oh, maybe we should spend more money on it, and maybe we should do a remix. Then we took it to a studio in London, in the old Trident studio in Water Street, which is like, a very famous studio in London. And we didn't really do much. We did the bass on a couple of songs, I think, guitar on one song, recorded, strange reason, the toms, the drums again, which is not easy on an already recorded song, and some keyboards, and that took about, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months. The thing was, the guy that was gonna produce it, well, it was already produced, but he did these things, and he was the owner of the studio, and that was not a good idea, because he was not in a hurry. I can tell you that.
Wow.
He
I'm looking at the album cover now, Hungry for a Game. How does that reflect the guitar with the title? Can people look at it and go, well, I don't quite get it. There's a guitar, but there's not Hungry for a Game.
No, you're right. It's totally rubbish.
No, it's not
No,
rubbish. It's just kind of, you look at it and think, well, Hungry for a
yeah,
Game. It's like a guitar.
yeah. Well, we knew a guy called Johnny, who had this very specific way of painting, and so we asked him to do the cover, and said it should be a guitar out in space somehow, and the title is Hungry for a Game. So you see all the red ones and blue. That's when you play in a casino,
Yeah.
and yeah. So it's like a mix.
So like I say, it's a fantastic album. It's my favorite album. What songs from that album do you like? And was it more successful in sales than the first album?
Yeah, it was. It's all more. Yeah. Both albums we have are gone in Denmark. They went. I mean, today they've sold more than 50,000 each in little Denmark of the physical copies,
Yeah.
CDs and vinyls, and it sold more. In general, the album sold more than the first one. Yeah.
So do you have any particular favorite songs from the album?
Well, Hungry for a Game, I like Always in a Line, and Somewhere in France. I mean, there's a lot of actually, I think it's very consistent, and you can hear it's done over a short period of time. It's yeah, we rehearsed.
To me, I think it's like the cult classic Skagarack album.
Yeah, you're right.
So I mean, the next album, Slice of Heaven, you went to a different label called Melody Records, released in 1990. That was another strong album, very, very similar to Hungry for a Game, very powerful album. Tell me a little bit about
that. It has a bit more heavy attitude to it. The tone got a bit more, tough, and we worked, and we did some. I think we did 3 or 4 songs with a guy called Mac in Musicland studio, who worked with Queen a lot, by the way, and Electric Light Orchestra. And also, I know Rainbow did albums in that studio. And he was a good guy. And then we went to Copenhagen and did something. And we mixed it in LA with a guy called Wagner, who also produced, you know, everybody from Metallica to all the rock bands in in LA area. He did a lot of Michael Wagner. He's a German guy, by the way.
Michael Wagner. Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're really proud of that album, actually, because I think at that time when we toured, we played really well as a band. I remember that, because, you know, with the first album we were quite new. It was very shocking in a way to go out and play on the road with the first album, because we were just new. We'd never done that before. So yeah.
So I mean, the next time you did Big Time on MCM Records, that was released in 1993. That was the last time you did. I mean, what good things can you think about that album? Why did you break up after that album? What was the reason?
On that album, I played I took a whole new band in, because after Slice of Heaven, you know, then the grunge came, and many bands like you know, Europe and us, and everybody else in that genre, they took a break because grunge owned everything.
And it sucks.
Yeah, it did. And so we took a break, and we tried again, and then I did this solo album in '91, which was a very guitar-oriented album.
A little bit on the side, I believe, right?
Yeah, a bit on the side, yeah. And that was I think it's a great album, and I got great reviews, but that genre had it really tough in those days. And then I said to Jan, I'm gonna do a new Skagarack album, and but he was I think he was moving to Copenhagen, and he said, okay, yeah, you know, do what you want. So I had some old friends from here in Denmark, and I simply hired them to play.
All right,
I think it's a good album, I think, but
didn't you do two solo albums? You did a second one as well, didn't you? What's that one called?
Yeah, it's called Long Story Short. I did that in 2012. That was like a singer-songwriter album.
Was it a successful album as well as the debut?
In another way, yes, it was. Radio-wise, I got a lot of radio in that one, on national radio here in Denmark, and that pays rent for a long time.
So we're going to talk about the new album then, Heart and Soul, released on Thunderstruck Records. Who are Thunderstruck Records? Where are they based?
That's me. That's my label.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your label then. What is it? Just yourselves, or do you have other artists on there?
Oh yeah, I work with Freak Kitchen and Matthias Eklund.
Yeah, I know those guys. Yeah, very strange band. Very strange.
Yeah. And they consider that a praise. So they are very special. Yeah.
So what other bands do you have?
Well, various Swedish. You don't know any of, I think.
Are you basing yourself on rock music, basically? Are you doing different styles?
Yeah, rock music, yeah.
So when did you get this label going? When did you form it?
The first time I released an album under my new label was in 1993, and it was the first album of Freak Kitchen. I started the production company, Thunderstruck Productions, in 1990. And then the first album came with Freak Kitchen.
So why did you go to these guys? Because another unusual band. What made you think, I want to sound these guys?
I met Matthias when I was recording my A Bit on the Side in Copenhagen. And he wanted so badly to, I asked him to play on the album. He would love to. But he was at that time signed to EMI. And they wouldn't let him. and that pissed him off quite a bit. So he went home to Sweden again, and we just said, okay, when we're gonna do something together. And then he started sending me demos for his new band, Free Kitchen, and that was really, really good. So we just made an agreement there.
Okay, then so the name for the album, Heart and Soul, who came up with the title, and did you have any other titles?
I know I came up with that because it was a song called Heart and Soul, and I think that's a strong title.
Does it reflect with the music where you're coming back after so many years? Do you think that was the right title?
Yeah, I think so, because we really love this music. It's Jan and I who are in the studio all the time, and I just felt this is a strong title. It fits this is what we want to do. This is what we like.
Right, because I'm looking at the album cover now, and you've got it's like a pyramid kind of with the sky, and it's like you can see right through it. Just tell me a little bit about the cover. It looks quite abstract and mystical.
Yeah. Well, it's actually I think it's an English. It's a British guy who came up with this Penrose triangle. It's called. His name is Penrose, and he has. It's very. The more you look at it, the more confused you get. So just thought, hey, this is cool.
Oh, it's really interesting. I mean, I'm looking at it, like I said, it's a really interesting cover. I mean, the music for this new album is very hard, more blues than it is old Skagarack. Was there a reason to go in that direction? What was the reason?
Yeah, we just felt that there's no reason and why try to sound like we did 33 years ago. We won't do that anyway. So we really like the music in the 70s, like the free and the simple sound, with guitars and maybe a distorted organ and drums and vocal. So that's the reason.
Okay, I mean, in the lineup, like you said, you've got Jan on guitar with you, who's been a long time friend. You played guitar, keyboards, and bass on this album, but you've also got Dennis Pettersson, and you've got Lars, is it Dandelug, and Matthias, like you said, on guitar. So how did you hook up with these guys?
Dennis, the drummer, Dennis, he's part of the live lineup we have. He's a very, very good drummer, and he plays on, I think, 3 or 4 songs on the album. And Matthias Eklund, the same guy. He, actually, he started out on drums. He was a drummer from the beginning when he started playing music.
Okay.
And I know he loves to play drums. So I said to him, hey, can't you play drums on this one? And he did. Very good. He's very good.
Okay, then
and Lars Daugård, he played on the Big Time album.
Okay.
He's an excellent drummer. Very good.
Okay, and so the songs on the album, I mean, how long did it take to record this album? Was it a lengthy period?
Yeah, it's been over 2 or 3 years. Most of it the last year. Because, it's been on and off, and it started during the Corona period.
Yeah.
So it's on and off, and whenever there was time. But I also have to look out for my record label, and Jan is working every day as a music teacher, and so whenever there was time, and we felt like it, sometimes there could go 3 or 4 months where nothing happened because I was busy or whatever.
Okay, and so the songs on the album, do you have any favorite songs on this album? Which ones stand out? And have you done any promotional videos for people that don't know?
Yeah, we did a video on Give It, and we did one on Heart and Soul. And I really like Heart and Soul, and Ain't Got Nothing to Lose. I think those 2 are my favorites on the album. But I mean, I actually like all of it.
Is there I mean, how's the press been taking this and the fans? Because it's only just come out, wasn't it? What sort of press have you been getting? The fans, what they've been saying about the new album?
Most of it has been very positive. I remember there was one guy who he was almost like really angry the keyboards, he just wrote, the keyboards, it's gone. So it was, but most, we're getting pretty good reviews. And we got, rock. Do we have My Rock in the UK?
I'm not sure.
Okay, it's a radio station. We have it here and we have it in Germany. They play our songs every day.
Okay.
But national radio, that's another story. We get played now and then.
Yeah. So do you have any new songs wrote for the next album already? Do you have anything?
Yeah. I'm already working on them. Yeah.
So how is that going to differ from this new album? Is it same kind of bluesy edge still, or
yeah, it's going to be maybe something in between, a bit more keyboard.
Okay, just so that guy don't get pissed off with you.
Because he got pissed off. No, let's see what happens.
So when are you going to be touring? Are you going to be touring this year for this album? Is there any plans?
We have something. We did play some festivals this year, and we had a few. But I said, okay, let's not play more because now I really gotta get this album finished so we can, get it out. And it's a big relief to get it out actually, because when you have something you worked on for a period of 2 or 3 years, then you really want to, get it out and move on. And we have something booked next year already. We have a cruise next year from Sweden to Finland and back. And we have festivals. There's talk of Firefest actually.
I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that. I bet you're excited about doing that one. Are you headlining?
I don't think we're headlining. I don't know. I don't think so.
Are you going to do little classic songs from the early albums?
Yes. We're going to do the hits. Absolutely.
Awesome. So I'd like to thank him, Torben, for this interview. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
I just want to say that it's really funny to be back, and we're so grateful that people haven't forgotten us. And it's good to be back.
Thank you.